Well, it's obviously sickening, to hear from those that were there at the scene describing what they saw.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a crazy story coming out of Boston, Massachusetts. Now, in the South Boston neighborhood, there's a project, and in one of the apartments in this housing project, there was a drag party, drag queens having a party. They got drugs, sex toys, all kind of stuff. Now, the story goes down a deep, dark road when you realize that there's not one, not two, not three, but 4 children between the ages of 5 and 10 locked in the back room in this apartment. And their apartment was in squalid, disgusting, hoarder-like conditions. And the police were called on these people because, not because of the kids that were there and they shouldn't have been there, not because of the drugs and the sex toys and everything else that were around these children, not even because of that. It's because one of these drag queens, a trans, quote unquote, trans woman, a biological XY male, died right there in the actual apartment. Now, before I go any further, let's roll the clip. If you want to see the clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
First responders were called here to these apartments on Saturday for an apparent cardiac arrest. When they got here, they discovered someone had died and also found that several people were hiding children in a back room. Tonight, 4 children less than 10 years old are in DCF custody after authorities and public officials say they were found in an apartment with 6 cross-dressing men, sex toys, drugs, and alcohol. Firefighters discovered them after one of those adults died at the apartment.
Well, it's obviously sickening, to hear from those that were there at the scene describing what they saw and the actions of the adults that were in the room.
City Council.
To be clear, I'm not sure they're going to get into it, but to be clear, when the authorities, might have been the firefighters, police, when they arrived at the apartment, the adult males were trying to hide the kids. And they didn't want them to come inside because obviously if you got kids in here, they shouldn't be there. And then there's a dead body right there on the ground. So they know they're about to get locked up. There's drugs and sex toys and alcohol everywhere. And you got these kids. Y'all are going to the penitentiary immediately.
Counselor at Large Michael Flaherty says he spoke with the firefighters who responded to the Mary Ellen McCormick apartments and filed paperwork to make sure the state intervened with the children. According to their incident report, the apartment was in extreme unsanitary conditions. All adult parties were being uncooperative and denied having children in the apartment.
Drugs, alcohol, drug paraphernalia, sex toys, etc. And so they were concerned. They had reached out to me just to make sure that it didn't get swept under the rug.
The governor says DCF is now involved in investigating.
Just heartbreaking, terrible situation. DCF has taken those children into its care and custody right now.
City leaders doing a walkthrough here, now wondering how this could have happened. Counselors planning to hold a hearing with the Boston Housing Authority.
I got to pause right here. Now, I don't know whose kids these were, and I don't know where the mothers were, because what they said was they had, 6 cross-dressing males and the 1 dead male on the ground, surrounded by the sex toys and the drug paraphernalia. Whose kids were these? Why were they in the project? What's going on? I have no idea. Oh, and by the way, I said that these guys feared getting arrested. I don't think anyone got arrested. I could be wrong. Y'all let me know in the comments below if I'm incorrect.
This is disgusting, and this is on BHA. They need to be doing a better job down there.
Now, the Boston Housing Authority sent us a statement saying that they had received no prior complaints about the unit where this all apparently happened, and they're working with the agencies involved to take all the appropriate follow-up. We're live here in South Boston this evening. I'm Peter Iliopoulos, WCVB.
Okay, so that's that. I mean, there's a couple articles here we can get into. Here's one from Daily Mail. You see what's going on. 4 kids aged between 5 and 10 taken into care after being found in a drag party with a dead trans woman's body on the floor and drugs and sex toys scattered throughout Hoarder home. Fire officials found 4 children jammed together in a cramped room surrounded by filth and a stench permeating the air. The children were reportedly being hid in the back room by men dressed in women's clothing who were uncooperative and denied having children inside. A transgender black woman was pronounced dead at the scene, according to a police report. Now, I want to see if there's any kind of arrest right here. I don't think that there was, from what I've read earlier, but this is really horrid. Really, really horrid. That's the outside of the project right there. Okay, so look, Boston police are classifying the incident as a death investigation resulting from cardiac arrest, and no arrests have been made as of Wednesday. So, let me get this straight. You can have a drag party, right? Like a bunch of transgender cross-dressers, and to be clear, I don't know whether the people that were preventing the authorities from coming in, I don't know if these guys identified as transgender or cross-dressers or drag queens, but to be totally frank, I think that's a distinction without difference. Why does it even matter? Who cares? At the end of the day, you guys got 4 little kids between 5 and 10 in this cramped little room in a disgusting house. I'm sure there's roaches, rats, all of that in there. So that's the most important part. I'm more worried about these kids. And again, where are the moms at? Are there any moms involved? Whose kids are these? Do they have the same father? Or one of the guys out there dressed up the fathers? I don't know. So say they responded to an unconscious person and found 4 kids hiding in the back room in filthy conditions. Yeah, that's that. And this person right here was a neighbor, I think. There was hoarding, a lot of uncleanliness in their apartment, lots of sex toys and drug paraphernalia. The children were immediately removed from the hazardous environment and transferred into the care of CPS, where medical professionals assess their physical and mental condition. It is unclear what the relationship is between the adults and the children found in their apartment. According to the police report, alcohol and drug consumption were not suspected, but they got alcohol and drugs and drug paraphernalia, which means I'm thinking needles or crack pipes or whatever. You have that in their apartment, but there's no drug or alcohol consumption suspected. And the person wound up dead of a cardiac arrest. How did that happen? Huh? The dead body was transported to the medical examiner. Yeah. Flaherty told the Herald the person, the trans person, was found on the floor, had died from an apparent OD, and that a man wearing a wig claiming to be the father of the kids was found in the back bedroom. I mean, I don't know, man. This world is so crazy. So totally crazy. So yeah, that happened out there in Boston. Luckily the kids are, from what I'm able to see, uninjured. The trauma of living in a place like that's rough. But unfortunately, that's a reality for a lot of kids just all around the country, living in squalid environments like that. And this whole thing about, oh, they're poor, living in the project, so what? Just because you're poor does not mean that you have to keep a disgusting place. Okay, cleanliness is not a thing that correlates to being rich or poor. You can be poor and pick up your garbage and put it in the garbage can and clean up. That's not a thing that has to happen just because, you know, you have people that are maids and whatnot that keep areas totally spotless and they're not rich. So I don't want to hear the excuses. Furthermore, there's no excuse for these people to be in there with the kids, okay, having this drag party. You guys couldn't put together $50 and get a cheap motel somewhere in Boston. I know it's expensive, but good grief, you got to be in there. And then since the home was in squalid, hoarder-like conditions, the kids had probably been in that environment for quite a while. And people that were in there had lived like that for quite a while. So this is pretty gross, pretty disgusting. Housing projects, man, or any kind of place like that where there's renters and whatnot, let's get some mandatory inspections. If you guys cannot keep a clean home, if it's disgusting, hoarder-like inside, you should get evicted immediately. Okay. And then if something like this happens where there's a so-called drag party and you got a dead body, you get the kids living like that, somebody should get arrested. I'm thinking about neglect, abuse, all of that. To expose these kids, as I close, to expose these kids to that type of environment should not be in any way, form, or fashion legal under any circumstances. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with this so-called drag party out there in South Boston? Should some of these guys get arrested? You got a whole dead body right here with the kids in the back, and then the people who were at the so-called party were trying to stop the people, the police and fire from coming in and discovering what's going on. Somebody should go to jail. If not, all these guys should get locked up. But whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is really crazy. But as I've said before, this is predictable, unfortunately. It's not really surprising, unfortunately. People live like this all over the country. A lot of kids aren't safe. And if you say something about it, if you say, hey, maybe these kids shouldn't be around this, and the third, oh, now you're X, Y, and Z phobic, obic, some kind of ist. Well, maybe I just think that kids should be safe and these adult biological males should be held to account and put up under the penitentiary, make a big rocks and a little rocks. That's just my viewpoint on it. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.